Hello and welcome back to my studio. I am Ann Butera and no, this is not a studio tour. I know I said in my last video that a studio tour is coming. It will come. There are just a few things that I wanted to work on before I am ready to film my room. But until then, I thought today would be a fun day to talk about some new paints that I've been trying out. They're really fun, and I will use those to work through an exercise from my new class. So I'll talk about that too. Why don't we dig into the paints then? So the paints that I'm going to be talking about today are from this little set, these Holbein Artists watercolors. Granulating watercolor bird set with 6 colors. You might know that I like working with pan watercolors. So they look like this. I have a collection of probably too many colors, but this one is my purples. So I have tins for different color families and keep them organized that way. I love how compact they are. I mean, there's a lot of colors in here. That's one of the reasons I love them. But also, I don't love tubes because the paint sometimes dries up. It's sometimes hard to get it out. I also like working from drier paint, personally, for my detailed botanicals. But I really wanted to try out these colors, and they were not available as pans. So I bought them anyway, and I knew that I could make my own pans from them. So I'll show you. So these are the pans that I made. I used these empty pans. These came with a set of Daniel Smith paints. They included some empty pans with the colors in the palette. So I held on to those knowing they could come in handy. I used these tubes to create these pans. And actually this is super economical if you think about it, because you can see how much paint is still left in there, and I've already filled this pan. I'm going to go back in and refill that a little bit. I'm also going to fill up some pans that I will use as a giveaway. So if you want to make your own pan watercolors from tubes, it's pretty simple. You just take your tube and you squeeze out enough paint. Hitting it on the table can help settle it a bit. And I'll just let that dry. Another reason that I don't love tubes is because of the way sometimes the paint will accumulate around the top there and then make it hard to take the lid on and off. So I'm just squeezing all the rest of the paint up to the top of the tube. So there's still a bunch left. I'll just do this with all the rest of the tubes. If your pans are not perfectly filled, that's okay. They're still usable. Okay. So if it gets gunky at the top, I just use a cloth and wipe it off. And then put the cap back on. And make sure you screw it on straight. And then push up any extra paint from the bottom. Okay. And then the last color here. Here are all of the pans that I just made. I'm going to want to let these fully dry before I use them. And then I can use them just like any other watercolor pan. I also squeezed some paint onto a little palette here, and I'm going to use this paint to swatch the colors. I'm going to use this number 12 Princeton Neptune round brush. I'm really enjoying these Princeton Neptune brushes. So I have water, which you can't see, that I'm using to wet that dab of paint. And I'm just gonna do a few swatches. Can you see it granulating yet? It is very dark in my studio today, so I apologize about that. But it's raining outside, and overhead lights make things a little too glary. The beautiful thing about the granulating watercolors is that you never really know what you're going to get when you make a mark. And they granulate in unexpected ways. All right, so here's one row of that first color. The first color, I should tell you what the color is. This is Burke's Parrot Pink. So beautiful, beautiful color. The next one here, this is the orange, which is Flamingo Orange. Again, these are all named after birds. It's a bird-themed set. It looks pretty similar to the last color, which might be that I still have a bit of the last color on my brush. Also trying to get a little more paint here. That first color seemed to be a little less pigmented than this one. It's not as hard with this one to get a dark result. Of course, the lightness and darkness of watercolor is all due to the amount of water that you're using. I'm going to wash off my brush here and on to color number 3. Oh, got a few dots of water here. That's okay. I do not mind when swatching getting slightly messy. Oh, so this first green color, this one is Japanese Bush Warbler Green. And I have to say I don't know what a Japanese bush warbler looks like. And if that is the color green of this bird. Not something I would see around here. Okay. So I didn't do a great job of planning spacing for this, but you know, I don't worry about that. All right, the next color is peafowl green. I know I used a lot of water in that, but this seems less pigmented than that other green. It's a beautiful color. It's a beautiful, beautiful color. Right off the bat, the colors that are speaking to me are that first pink, the Burke's Parrot Pink, and this Peafowl Green. I love the granulation that's showing up here. And can you see it? Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, I can fit 2 more here, 2 more rows. We've got 2 more colors. The next color is Eurasian J Rose Gray. So it's this one. I'm going to make this a little less long so we can fit the other one in. That's a little bit much water. For swatching, I don't worry too much about having the perfect amount of water. It's actually more interesting to me when you've got a varied amount of water. So you can see, even though there was a lot of water here, this one seems more pigmented to me. So a pretty purple color. Wash off my brush, and then we can do the last color, which is, I should probably tell you what it is. It is Shoebill Blue Gray. All right. Blue Gray. I was thinking it looks a little bit like a Payne's Gray until it starts to granulate. Then it becomes super interesting. A beautiful, beautiful collection of colors. Fun to watch granulate. Oh, and this is just Canson XL watercolor paper, which I cut down. I bought a big block, 12 by 18 inches, I think that's the size. And I cut it down into smaller pieces. So I'm gonna let that dry and go on to the little exercise I wanna do. This page is from my new class. It's a 7-day art retreat, and the exercise here was a creativity map. And in class, I show you a lot of different examples that I've done in my sketchbooks, and then I demonstrated this one. The heart in the center stands for me, and then radiating out, I just chose a few things that I love. Things that are creative, things that are nurturing, things that bring me joy. And so I didn't plan this out too much. I just went with what came from my head. And I guess I could plan out another one and add more things to it. But what I wanted to do for this watercolor version was just paint some splotches of color. And I will go back once this is dry and write in the different things. But right now, I think I counted, and there are 13 different things that I've included. So I'm going to grab a piece of watercolor paper. I've cleaned out my water and I cleaned out my brush and I'm ready to begin the exercise. I didn't really think that I would use this for the center. I didn't want it to be too much the same as the other one I did, the marker. But you know what? I love this color. And I love wonky hearts. Okay. Now I need 13 different blobs around here. I'm going to just try to vary the colors and the placement. I don't want colors that are too similar to be next to one another. But other than that, and I'm just making sort of weird blobby shapes. I'm going to let the paint do what the paint wants to do. What might be nice next? Maybe this purpley color. And try the orange over here. Four. I don't think I'm going to use this color in any of my blobs. So I've used 4 out of the 5 other colors. So I need to use the 6th. Okay. Actually, I don't want to use that one again. Put one way out here. I'm just sort of pushing the paint around a bit. Let's see. So we get some variation. That one was way too wet. But you know what? If it's too wet, you can just come back and take some of that up. And I'm going to let it do its thing. So how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which one do I want? I guess the purpley one could come next. I'm thinking my brush is less than clean. So the colors might be a little bit dirty, and that's okay. Because it's all right. Three more. So these two greens are very close to the heart. I want to do another something close here, but I don't want it to be green because I already have greens that are close. I'm going to come back to this purple and make you close. And then we'll do 2 more with a green being out here. So what color should this last one be? I think it should be that orange color. Does it matter if it's close to that? Actually, I'm going to make that the blue color, which we are almost out of here. And that's okay. All right, I'm going to let this dry, and then I'll go back and draw the lines and write the words. Here are my swatches now that they are dried. You can see a bit more of the granulation. Such beautiful colors. And then here is my finished creativity map. I wrote all of the words with micron pen and made little dotted lines going to them. It was really fun, and I hope you will try it too. So I hope you enjoyed that little demo. The class is now live on Skillshare, and I'm hoping to be rolling it out on my website soon. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll get notified of when that is up and ready to take. And also, if you sign up for my newsletter, you will be the first to hear about a little giveaway I'm having that involves these paints and Skillshare. So that's all for today. I know this is a busy season for so many of us. For me, I'm busy wrapping up calendar orders. If you haven't gotten yours, you can head on to my website. There's a link below. And you know, there's just so much at this time of year. I hope you are taking time for yourself, for your creativity, for noticing all the beauties in nature around us. And I will see you next time. Take care.